Dana Jacobson from CBS Saturday Morning. Welcome to The Dish. Today we travel to the city of brotherly love and sit down with restaurateurs shaping the Philadelphia food scene with diverse eateries, ranging from classic American to Asian fusion. We'll catch up with two best friends who have teamed up to pour everything from cups of coffee to high-end cocktails. Then we head to the city's center, where a couple has taken a once-beloved downtown restaurant and transformed it into a James Beard award-winning dining destination. But first, renowned restaurateur Ellen Yin is bringing new tastes to Philly's Old City. Our Michelle Miller sat down with her at Fork, one of Yin's many restaurants, where she found out Yin considers every patron a house guest, a generosity she learned from watching her mother host large parties in their home.
Ladies, how are your salads?
When it comes to the classic meet and greet, Ellen Yin is a pro.
You said you're from Philly?
For a quarter of a century, her restaurant Fork has been a mainstay in Philadelphia's Old City. And Yin, though not a chef, is eager.
How's lunch?
To feed her diners' desires.
Any feedback, any wishes, let us know.
What has kept me fueled is connection. Connection with the community, connection with my team members, having a place that people want to call home. This is my home. So when you walk in the door, Michelle, you're in my house.
The food here is locally sourced and not for waste watchers.
I love carbs, so there's a lot of carbs here.
I see you like carbs.
I love carbs and I love bread.
She provided us with a taste from all of her restaurants, starting with local grains from High Street.
One of my all-time favorites,
This one?
sesame sourdough.
You kind of give me quite a slice here.
It's served with tzatziki. With that is harissa. There's a white bean salad, brassica salad, and a little cheese with za'atar.
Tzatziki is on point.
I love that.
And from A Kitchen and Bar, there was a beet salad, octopus with lyonnaise and pork belly lardon, and a soft-boiled egg with trout roe.
We also have spaghetti. So like I said, I love pasta, rice, potatoes, all those type of things. That's served with a porcini and pork ragu with crispy leeks.
Also on the table, Fork's mushroom entree, a mix of trumpet mushrooms, lion's mane, and fresh herbs.
What is that sauce?
It's pureed parsnip.
Oh, delightful.
There's also Pennsylvania brook trout.
And then, of course, I'm a cookie-holic. I'm addicted to cookies. So these are pink peppercorn meringues, rye chocolate chip cookies, and oatmeal fluffernutter. This is my favorite. So it has pink peppercorn, chocolate, and sesame.
All right. It's like a shortbread. Oh, it's delicious with the chocolate on it.
Her passion for entertaining started at home.
I got this love for hospitality from my family, from my mother, who was always entertaining large groups of people at home. She would debone this chicken, make sticky rice, and then stick it back in the chicken, truss it up, and then bake it. This is something that would take hours. And all so that our family and extended family could come together and, celebrate being together.
Yin and her siblings were raised in New Jersey by immigrant parents.
What was growing up as a Jersey girl?
A Jersey girl.
An Asian American Jersey girl.
When I grew up in New Jersey, I grew up in a small little town in Monmouth County. There were very few Asians in our community. I just always struggled with feeling like I belonged in school.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and enjoy your lunch.
And that feeling stayed with her later in life.
How was lunch?
I never really looked at myself as an Asian woman in the mirror. Of course, when I look in the mirror, I see myself as Chinese. But I never thought about all the things that it takes to create your identity and your story and how all the things that you experience in your life become part of you.
She decided to pursue hospitality after working at a local restaurant in high school. But her parents had different ideas.
Well, my father's dream was for me to become an engineer, and he was so disappointed when I failed physics in high school.
You failed physics?
I didn't fail, but I got a C.
I
That
did
was
too.
not, yeah, I was not good at
I
physics.
wasn't either.
I just couldn't understand it. But my father couldn't understand why I did not understand physics, and he felt it was a personal affront to him that I couldn't grasp the concept of of gravity.
Still, her father, an engineer at Bell Labs, pushed her to the University of Pennsylvania. She thought an MBA in healthcare management might be a bridge between her heart and a corporate career.
I could just never find it. Every job that I had, I just kept going back to the restaurant industry that I loved so much.
You're gonna teach me how to make dumplings.
Yes, I am.
Your mama's dumplings.
My mom's dumplings. So we're gonna put a spoonful in the middle.
Okay, is that too much or is that perfect?
That looks pretty good.
Okay.
Yin turned to dumpling making during the pandemic with the Wonton Project, finding connection in isolation during an era of Asian American hate.
We have donated money to Advancing Justice, which is a national organization in Philadelphia, Asian Americans United. And it is designed to provide these funds on an ongoing basis.
This is really you sort of rediscovering your heritage in
Yeah.
a crisis.
Absolutely.
Equally important as her heritage is her community.
Mayor Nutter asked if I would serve on the board because they were looking for business people who were interested in the development of the waterfront.
It's all come full circle for Yin, who's a 5-time James Beard Best Restaurateur nominee.
Restaurateurs are way more than just chefs or maitre d's or managers. They really are important to the community, and even as a nominee, I feel it's my role to continue representing the industry well in that sense and pushing it forward.
Up next, how an innovative tasting menu updated a neighborhood hotspot. Nestled in Philadelphia's Rittenhouse Square sits the restaurant Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a neighborhood favorite for more than 40 years. Chad and Hannah Williams bought the space in 2015 and reimagined it by changing everything but the name. Michelle Miller sat down with the husband-wife duo to learn how they created a James Beard Award winner.
Firing 4 sweetbread, 1 is the celery root.
He's a Philly born and raised chef.
Gnocchi with truffles, bar 2-3.
She's a former waitress, now manager.
Crispy sweetbreads with a mushroom and plantain ragu, egg yolk jam, and mushroom vin blanc.
Together, Hannah and Chad Williams are the power couple behind Friday, Saturday, Sunday, one of the city's longest running restaurants.
How does the partnership work?
It's a collaborative effort. You know, ideas go back and forth between us. I jump into her area, she doesn't like it. She jumps into mine, I don't like it. But at the end of the day, it's somebody you really trust.
That trust allowed them to have a difference of opinion when they first set foot inside the restaurant.
I walked out, I was like, no way. I took the video and I laughed. And I was like, this isn't it.
But Hannah saw things differently.
Restaurant itself, like in its first iteration, kind of held significance for a lot of people. In its day, it was definitely known as like the most romantic restaurant in the city, and I think it needed some updating, certainly, but we wanted to put our own mark on it.
And that's what they did. In 2014, the couple risked it all by buying it, gutting it, and with little to spare, got married in the kitchen.
So is it true that the contractor you brought in actually married the two
He
of you?
did. We planned the wedding and we were 8 months behind schedule with the restaurant, trying to find every dollar possible to get open. And we put on our suits, came down, there were construction workers here, and we kicked everybody out.
For more than 4 decades, Friday, Saturday, Sunday has been a staple in Philly.
This neighborhood looks pretty old.
It's Rittenhouse, Philadelphia, one of the oldest neighborhoods here and one of the wealthiest. As you can see, like the architecture just really gives the neighborhood such a great feel.
So not a bad spot to be in.
No, we have some great regulars, I'll say that.
Those regulars had a hard time when the couple changed everything but the name.
She got cursed out of the door a couple times. I mean, people walk out crying. They had attachments. It took folks a little bit of time to get used to us.
Change is hard, and especially when you're keeping the name, people then assume that okay, new ownership is coming in, and we're going to be able to go back and have that cream of mushroom soup we've been having for 40 years, and when they can't get that, people get upset. Change is hard.
One of the biggest changes came during the pandemic when they had to pivot to a tasting menu.
So our first course here is a tuna tart. You could open at 25% capacity. I mean, look around, 25% capacity for us was 4 tables. We had to make a decision to do something that we could potentially try to make a living at.
Charcoal grilled quail.
When food hits your table, it's not the same bite from the first to the last. And a lot of that magic happens in that 3-4 minutes.
I got to taste some of that magic, starting with ember tomatoes served with corn pudding and corn butter.
Yeah, so they're grilled really, really lightly, so you get that smoky aroma.
Yeah.
And then the fresh, really like aromatic corn
And the roe really
pops. You get the
pops,
little
right?
Pops. Yeah, yeah.
wow.
Next was the beet annolati with buttermilk sauce and grilled blackberries.
A little sweet, a little earthiness from the beets. So that one hits kind of all the notes there.
Oh my goodness. It's really good.
Also part of the meal, roasted potato gnocchi, grilled quail, New York strip steak served with cabbage and oxtail. Then for dessert,
Red summer fruit, goat's milk, tres leche, and roasted berry ice cream with a little fermented blackberry powder.
So spring, summer, and fall, I would imagine, are just an
It's the
abundance
best. And
of
it-
seasonal delights.
All the vegetables and fruits just really come at you so fast. It really brings like a certain energy to the kitchen.
Tartar walking 8-9.
the business of cooking was a left turn for Williams.
When you think about your influences, how much did your home, cooking inside the home, impact you?
Well, my mother would want me to say a ton, and the truth is no. We joke about it all the time. She didn't cook, she worked. She was a teacher, and so was my father.
During his time at Howard University, Williams started working at a Caribbean restaurant and never looked back.
Between my junior and senior year in school, I worked every day, 7 days a week. And I said, if I still like this, after like wasting the summer, you know, in this kitchen instead of out having fun, I'll do it.
He had to call his mom to tell her he wasn't going back to school.
Tell me that conversation.
She cried for years. She would call my boss and tell him to fire me weekly, every week, a call.
From there, he went on to work at Michelin-starred restaurants like 11 Madison Park and Manresa before returning to his roots in Philly.
Wales walking 21:39.
What did you learn there that you brought in here?
It was always taste. You know, so much of cooking now can be like a visual exercise because it's in social media and you see the food before you eat it.
Pretty food.
Pretty food. You know, we make things pretty, but always at the base of it is this care for the product that you receive.
Our final savory course tonight. This is prime New York strip steak.
That effort from Chad and Hannah led to this magical moment in Chicago at the James Beard Awards.
Do you remember the night you won? They announced your name?
I don't think any of us actually heard that.
It's a big night for this town.
Yeah, that's all we heard.
That's what we heard, and everybody, you didn't hear anything else.
Big night for this town. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I watched it probably 17,000 times because, again, I don't believe that it happened to us.
I get to wake up next to this woman every day, and it is the best gift that life has given me. I love you.
And longevity only happens with something special.
There's something to be said about places that have lasted the test of time. So what inspires you knowing that?
That it is possible. A very simple neighborhood restaurant when we opened. And the city and our guests have watched us grow, and they pushed us. So we want to just fulfill that dream that we've been blessed with and see how far we can take it.
All right, walking 2 fish 39.
After the break, best friends turned business partners and the beans that brewed it all. This is The Dish. Award-winning chef Jonathan Adams and famed coffee roaster Damian Pileggi have been best friends for over 30 years, going back to high school. The duo's first business was a mobile cafe. Then they endeavored into cocktails, opening a French-themed bar. Michelle Miller has their story of business and brotherhood.
You gonna do it? You do it. You do it.
No, you
You're
do
good. You're good. I'll set you up.
We could do it together.
All
You do one, I do one.
Coffee lovers and best friends, Jonathan Adams and Damian Pileggi,
Damien will have your oat latte up in one moment.
Did you say oat?
Yeah.
make it their business, perfecting the perfect shot of espresso.
Awesome.
How do you guys gel? We're talking over 20 years together, adolescence.
Yeah.
through kids, marriage.
33 years if you're counting.
Yeah.
Oh my
Kids,
gosh.
marriage,
Which is crazy.
They've spent a lifetime figuring it all out amidst careers in Philadelphia's hospitality industry. But the barista thing, they just couldn't get enough of. Hence why they launched Rival Brothers Coffee in 2011.
It actually wasn't until after high school where we really started hanging out. We both gravitated towards hospitality and restaurants, and then ever since then, we've been finishing each other's sentences here and there.
Their concept started as a mobile coffee truck and is now a Philadelphia institution.
So you went from coffee to 1920s Paris.
Yeah, basically.
Their latest project, Innswell, a high-end cocktail bar located in the Terrain, an historic hotel building near Rittenhouse Square, with a swanky French-inspired interior. Here, Adams is at the front of the house.
Hands, please.
Taking a back seat to executive chef Andy Farley.
4, bar 1.
Love it, love it.
Who serves up dishes that are far more fortifying than what an average bar menu might provide.
What do we have here? That's a full meal.
That is a full dinner. So that's a blue cheese dry-aged New York strip, cooked sous vide, then finished over Japanese charcoal with glazed carrots and potato puree and sauce bordelaise.
And the carrots are perfect. There's a little bit of licorice in there.
There's a Chardonnay vinegar that we use to glaze, so that's where the licorice is coming, that anise flavor.
Also on the table, crispy eggplant, marinated then grilled.
Tempura fried, tossed in what we call togarashi, a Japanese 7-spice, and ranch. That's served over black garlic tahini with a little lime and sumac and some fresh herbs. This is one of those things that is just incredible.
So flavorful, spicy.
Next, hand-cut pasta limon.
A deceivingly simple dish. It was a hand-cut tagliatelle with lemon zest and creme fraiche. On top, you'll see botarga, like dried tuna, and osetra caviar.
Why is it deceiving?
Because it looks really simple. When you glance at it, it just looks like buttered noodles, right?
Right.
But there's actually a lot. There's quite a bit going on.
The perfect amount of lemon zest.
Right? And the caviar pops, brings the salt through without being overpowering.
Everything on here so far is rather decadent, Jonathan.
It definitely is. Andrew's take on his approach to food is there's a high-low approach to it, where some of it is really high-end, but then very deceivingly simple.
Finishing it off with homemade fried hash browns topped with crab salad. And for dessert, black magic cake with cherries.
I think part of the reason I love that so much is reminds me of childhood, high school, you know, with Damien. His mom was always baking and doing stuff, so that one's a little bit of nostalgia. And you don't even need to know that to enjoy it, but for me, it takes it to a different place.
To wash it all down, the cocktail specialty.
This is the Haymaker. So this is our take on an espresso martini, except it's rye and bourbon. We make our own orgeat, which is an almond liqueur, and then it's topped with vanilla cream and instant coffee.
The journey here has been 25 years in the making, since he gave up his first coffee gig in college in search of something bigger.
After doing coffee at Starbucks for like 3 years, kind of needed a change, and a friend of mine said, well, we need a busboy at this restaurant in Philly. I was like, okay. Walked in, said, I'll do whatever you need me to do. And I learned everything there.
You must have been really excited about what you needed to learn.
It was something I just couldn't get enough of. I always kept an eye on the kitchen, and I loved the energy of the kitchen.
So much so that in 2006, he opened his own spot in Philly called Snack Bar, and 2 years later, Pub and Kitchen, where he presided as executive chef. But by 2013, he hit the brakes, deciding to leave his chef's hat on the back burner.
Were you tired? Were you fed up?
But I kind of woke up one day, and my oldest son was 5, and it felt like snap of your fingers, and all of a sudden there's this little kid going into kindergarten. It was a grounding moment, and I thought, I don't want to be a statistic. I want to be home for my wife. I want to be home for my kids. So made this conscious decision to just kind of bag it all and start over.
That's a tough decision to make.
Yeah, it was hard. It was a little scary.
What makes Philly a great coffee town?
I think it runs the gamut. There's a lot of small, independent coffee roasters that we have.
All that time away refreshed him and opened the door to his dream coffee startup with bestie Damien, making that perfect cup of brew.
Being a barista is my secret passion.
Really?
Yeah.
So we're gonna start here, push it all the way back against the button, and it'll grind, and you hold it until it stops. And it'll stop on its own. Press down evenly and straight, as hard as you can. Go straight up, and you'll finally push it over. Oh, you got it, great. Now you're gonna push the lion. There you go,
Oh, there we go.
Prep that for me, John.
see? Yeah, I got you.
And for the partners and friends who realized a dream,
We always knew in some way we would be working together. So it was like just a matter of time, and it just kind of worked out.
Dulce de leche with almond milk.
as they say, all's well that ends well.
Yep.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news, stream us right here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Dana Jacobson. We'll see you next time for another helping of The Dish.